I feel like a real jerk, honey. We forgot your birthday.
Being a father is complicated, but fatherhood does bring real joy. Like rewatching old movies you loved with your kids. But nothing says family movie night quite like rewatching something you adored in the 1980s and realizing, oh no, that aged poorly. When it comes time to pick a classic film to watch with the family, there are the obvious choices, like The Goonies, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Back to the Future. A wholesome family comedy built around time travel and unresolved sexual tension with your mother.
Hey, don't worry.
Of course, as a child of the 1980s, you can't talk about formative cinema without mentioning John Hughes. He was the patron saint of suburban teen angst. The man wrote and directed classics like The Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and Pretty in Pink, films that practically raised an entire generation and now live forever on cable marathons and streaming platforms. But while I enjoyed all of those, there's one John Hughes' film I remember loving the most. One that doesn't pop up nearly as often anymore. One that, at this point, I've been hesitant to show my kids. I'm talking about 16 Candles.
I can't believe this. They forgot my birthday.
Released in 1984, 16 Candles starred 80s icons Molly Ringwald and Anthony Michael Hall. The film centers on Sam's forgotten 16th birthday and the angst, humiliation, and romantic longing of adolescence, wanting to be seen, wanting to be chosen, wanting to matter. I couldn't begin to count how many times my friends and I watched this movie. It just felt edgy, almost forbidden. Despite a PG rating, it openly talked about sex, crushes, popularity, humiliation, all the things a teenager finds both shocking and hilarious.
I had to name who I'd do it with if I ever did it. Who'd you name? Jake Ryan? Jake Ryan? He doesn't even know you exist. Thank you. That's a very nice thing to say.
Yet, it's a film you rarely come across on television, unlike other John Hughes' films that seem to play on a loop.
Very nice.
Well, writer Susanna Guthrie helped explain the why for Elle magazine in 2019. When it dropped on Netflix this September, I was thrilled. I locked it in for Saturday movie night immediately and popped a bottle of wine in the fridge in preparation. What ensued was possibly the most uncomfortable hour and a half of my life. After recently rewatching the film myself, it's hard not to agree. When you look at 16 Candles through a modern lens, it suddenly gets complicated. This film is basically a case study in how 1984 and 2026 process comedy very differently. In any film, there are bound to be moments that feel inappropriate, and 16 Candles is no exception. Still, not every questionable element necessarily rises to the level of being truly problematic. Take Sam's brother, who is a sexist jerk.
She's only eating carrots to increase the size of her breasts.
But he isn't written to go through a meaningful character arc. He exists to highlight the specific challenges faced by this teenage girl as she struggles with insecurity and self-consciousness.
Chronologically, you're 16 today. Physically, you're still 15.
That being said, there are 3 aspects of the film that genuinely cross the line into problematic territory. Let's break them down.
I swear to God, this has got to be a joke.
Anthony Michael Hall plays Ted the Geek, the archetypal horny freshman. As a 14-year-old boy who is powered entirely by hormones and Hot Pockets, I recognize this character.
So, what's the story? You got a guy or?
Yes, 3 big ones and they less went blood, so quit begging me or I'll stick them all over your weenie ass.
At face value, the awkward, oversexed teen isn't the issue. Teen comedies are full of them. The issue is framing. Ted's relentless objectification of girls is played for laughs. His behavior was framed as pathetic but harmless. Yet when Sam repeatedly tells him to leave her alone, he doesn't. The movie treats his persistence not as a problem, but as a punchline.
I'm back.
So I smell.
It's my shaving cream. Want to feel real clean, close shave?
I'll pass.
His creepy behavior and relentlessness is never punished. And ultimately, he's rewarded. Now compare that to a later teen comedy, like Superbad. Jonah Hill plays Seth, a crude, insecure, and foul-mouthed high school senior who spends the entire movie obsessed with losing his virginity and treats sex like a finish line.
When you hear girls saying like, I was so face last night, I shouldn't have that guy. We could be that mistake.
But the story ultimately exposes his insecurity.
I thought we'd both be drunk.
What does me being drunk have anything to do with it?
Get with me if you were sober.
By the end, he learns that he cannot force a sexual encounter through manipulation or by getting a girl drunk.
I think maybe...
What the
And that genuine connection and consent is necessary rather than just scoring.
I acted like a idiot last night. You don't deserve that, so I'm sorry.
That's a lesson that Ted never learns.
Since I was about 12, I've been looking forward to my sweet 16. You know, a big party, a band, tons of people, and a big Trans Am in the driveway with a ribbon around it, and some incredibly gorgeous guy that you meet like in France. You do it on a cloud without getting pregnant or herpes. I don't need the cloud. Just a pink Trans Am and the guy, right? A black one. A black guy.
Just look at her friend's reaction. Look at the face. That's some 1950s Alabama, keep our schools white racism right there. Yet when most people discuss racial insensitivity in 16 Candles, they're talking about the character, Long Duk Dong.
What's happening, hot stuff?
The name itself is played as a joke. A gong sounds nearly every time he appears. Other characters refer to him as the Chinaman. His accent and mannerisms are exaggerated for laughs.
Grandpa's hyena don't get disturbed.
Hernia!
Yet, oddly enough, my friends and I loved this character and quoted him constantly.
Oh, no more Yankee, my wanky. The donga need food.
He was the fish out of water, the underdog. We laughed. We rooted for him. He partied and landed the girl.
I've never been out with a boy before.
Oh, me neither.
It didn't feel wrong. Of course, I wasn't a young Asian kid in Middle America. Actor Martin Wong was, and he once noted on NPR, every single Asian dude who went to high school or junior high during the era of John Hughes movies was called Donger. Yeah, that's not good. That's the real-world impact of turning someone into a caricature.
Oh, sexy girlfriend! Manzai!
For the actor, who grew up in Utah and actually speaks better English than me, 16 Candles was his big Hollywood break. He has said that making the film was a great experience, but one that in retrospect, he was a bit naive about. I was making people laugh. I didn't realize how it was going to affect people. Yet can anyone blame him for taking this job? In that era, roles for Asian American actors consisted of martial arts masters or mysterious wise elders who also knew martial arts. 16 Candles was the first time I had ever seen an Asian character in a teen comedy.
I've never been so happy in my whole life.
But the film definitely finds humor from exaggerated otherness, which was common in that era. Which makes me wonder, if we replace that character with an Eastern European exchange student, lose the awful name and the stupid gong, would it land differently? Would the humor still work? For the most part, I would argue it would. He would be considered quirky and not a centuries-old stereotype being weaponized for laughs.
You beat up my face!
You grabbed my nuts.
The good news? Hollywood evolved. Stories featuring nuanced Asian characters in both films and television, centered on identity rather than caricature, are far more common today.
Come on, Jake, you talk like you're hard up. You got Carolyn, now she's a woman.
And then there's Carolyn. She is a popular, wealthy, beautiful high school senior and Jake Ryan's girlfriend. By the third act, she is intoxicated. She loses a chunk of hair before eventually, as we would learn, passing out in Jake's bedroom.
Got Carolyn in the bedroom right now, passed out cold. Could violate her 10 different ways if I wanted to.
While Jake has no interest in violating Caroline, he has no such moral dilemma when he loans her to Ted, implying sexual access while she's incapacitated. The narrative frames the situation as humorous and even celebratory.
We're not going any further until you stop these childish antics, Carolyn.
Don't be such a poo.
Second thought.
I love you.
By the end, it's implied that not only did they have sex, but she enjoyed it.
Did we,
Yeah.
do you know if, did I enjoy it? Nuts, of course I enjoyed it. I mean, what I meant was, did you?
You know, I have this weird feeling I did.
She even forgives her boyfriend.
I'm really sorry about getting you mixed up with that guy.
Oh, it's okay. It wasn't too terrible. Weird.
Yes, very weird. Let's be clear. An intoxicated, unconscious person cannot consent. Even in the 1980s, that's a troubling blind spot. Yet this moment is treated as almost endearing. Why? Caroline represented the classic 80s popular girl. Mean, shallow, and fully aware of her social status. She was the popular foil to the protagonist, making her humiliation and sexual violation by the geek seem like a comedic, deserved comeuppance. She was portrayed as a trope to be taken down, rather than a sympathetic character. That's not complicated. That's wrong. Molly Ringwald herself has spoken about revisiting these films and feeling conflicted. Everyone says, and I do believe it is true, that times were different and what was acceptable then is definitely not acceptable now, and nor should it have been then. But that's sort of the way that it was. I feel very differently about the movies now, and it's a difficult position for me to be in because there's a lot that I like about them. So, to sum it up, maybe it is complicated. Although it really shouldn't have been.
Score, a direct hit.
Here's the truth. I still feel something when I watch 16 Candles.
She's gotten her boobies.
Oh, I'd better go get my magnifying glass.
Nostalgia is powerful. It softens edges. It edits memory. But being an adult in our modern times changes the lens. Now I don't just watch as a former teenage boy. I watch as an adult and parent. I imagine my daughter watching it, my son absorbing it. I think about what jokes normalize, what behavior gets rewarded, what messages slip in quietly between punchlines. And that's the real theme here. Growing up is complicated. Parenting is complicated. And revisiting the art that shaped you is complicated. We can acknowledge that something meant a lot to us, and still admit it has flaws. We can appreciate the performances, the cultural impact, the way it captured teenage longing, while also saying, yeah, that part doesn't sit right anymore. Some movies age like fine wine, others age poorly, and some, like 16 Candles, age like complicated family stories. You don't throw them away, you just tell them differently now. And maybe that's progress.